Hey, what's going on, chess lover? This is Maurice Bishop, and today I want to show y'all example game of a good bishop and a bad bishop. A good bishop is when a bishop is not locked in by his own pawns, and a bad bishop is one that is locked in by his own pawns and also maybe locked in from his own pawns. Simple as that. So that's what that is. But I wanted to actually share with y'all a Steinitz principles because all I'm showing y'all is strategies or whatever and what to really look for. So principles that I really need y'all to memorize. For this one, I just wanted to show y'all for yourselves the Steinitz four rules of strategy. Number one is the right to attack belongs to the side that has a positional advantage, which not only has the right to attack but the obligation to do so, else the advantage will evaporate. The attack should be concentrated on the weakest square in the opponent's position. Number two, if an inferior position, the defender should be ready to defend and make compromises or take other measures such as desperate counterattack. And number three rule, in an equal position, the opponent should maneuver trying to achieve a position in which they have an advantage. If both sides play correctly, an equal position will remain equal. And then the last principle, the advantage may be a big indivisible one, or it may be a whole series of small advantages. The goal of the stronger side is to store up the advantages and then to convert temporary advantages into permanent ones. So I really want y'all to keep this in mind. I'm actually going to put this in my description box so that y'all can actually take this on four rules of strategy principles and apply it to yourself because memorizing this would actually help y'all and let it be embedded in your head. So when y'all look at a certain position, you'll know the principles and you'll know exactly what to do. So I highly encourage y'all to memorize these. All right. Trust me, y'all. I'm not telling y'all to memorize it for nothing. It's for a reason. All right. So let's look back on here. Now, Jose Capablanca, one of the world champions, he used to always say that if your opponent have a bishop, then your opponent should be on the same color as that bishop, and if you have a bishop, then your pawn should be on the opposite color of your bishop. Now, however, um, that principle is kind of hard because in certain positions or whatever, it's a little bit different. So here, I want y'all to look at this. This is black to play, right? So I really want you to I want to share with y'all like what's the advantages for black and the advantage and the disadvantages for white. So again, how y'all saw in my last video, I told y'all that y'all need to not only look at the advantages that you have, but you need to look at the advantages that your opponent have or a disadvantage that your opponent have. In this position, we're going to look at our advantages as black. So as black, as you can see, majority of our pawns are on the dark squares, right? Except for this one. But the rook is pretty much centralized on this e5 square. There's no other pawns that can get him out of that square at all. This light square bishop is very active. As you can see, it controls a lot of these light squares. It's very active, you know, and and our king is, pretty much placed pretty solid or whatever. Now, if you look at White's position, the disadvantage about his position is that his bishop is blocked by his own pawns, as you can see on f3 and e4. It's very hard. Even if he goes bishop f1, he still got pawns that's blocking his diagonal. And obviously the bishop can't go to h3 because this light square bishop is controlling his diagonal. So we will consider this a weak or not weak, well, I call it weak and bad bishop in this position. So if you really want to debate who has the better position, it will be black. Strategically, strategically, black has a better position because his bishop is very active. His rook on the e5 is centralized. It can do wonders. So we're going to show y'all exactly what's going on. All right. So the first move that black does is king f6. Now, remind you, another endgame principle is if you can get your king on the center of the board, you are golden. Simple as that. But only depends on his position though, because certain times you put a king in the center of the board, he can get himself mated. But just use common sense, y'all. But like I said, I'm gonna show you in this position, you know what it can do. So king f6 is played. King e2 is played. If you think about it, white is kind of really don't have too much moves to do because of he's blocked in by his own pawns and stuff. So it's kind of hard. But that's why I said black has strategically have a better position. So king e2 is played, then rook h5. Why rook h5 is a great move? Rook h5 is a great move because number one, he attacking a pawn, but it's not him just attacking a pawn or whatever. He's causing white to he's forcing white to defend his position. Obviously not the move h3 because bishop can catch on h3, and now we're really winning because we're up a pawn now. So he's actually forced to go rook h1. You know, so rook h1. So that's one thing. So you want to find an advantage. Threaten your opponent's piece or whatever. Get him to defend, and once you get him to defend, then that's when you have an option, or not an option, but you have the right to move your king into the center of the board, which is what the king just did. He just moved to e5. King D3 is played. Why King D3 is played? Because white is preventing him from getting his king from E5 to D4. Because if the black king can infiltrate that, then white will lose his advantage. It's already losing advantage now because he's constantly having to defend. All right, so then H6 is played. Now H6 is played because all his pawns now are on dark squares now. Now remember when Capablanca he said that if you have a bishop, then your pawn should be on opposite side color of the bishop. As you can see, that's exactly what this principle just showed. His pawns is on opposite side color as the bishop. Opposite side color of the bishop, meaning that the pawn is on a dark square, even though this light square bishop is on a light square. So because I have a light square bishop, now my pawns have to be on the dark squares. So that's the principle. So remember that, guys. But like I said, you only do it when it depends on the position. But overall, most likely you will put your pawns on a different color square, different color squares from your bishop. I'm on a dark square, he's on a light square. So continue to remember that, alright? So the move is H3 is played. H3 is played. So now H3 is considered a weakness now because now Rook G5. What is Rook G5 gonna do? Rook G5 had this nice square on Rook G3. So whereas the Rook could come through and double up on that file and cause havoc in the king's position. Alright. So Rook H2. So just to let y'all understand like what's going on. The reason why H2 is played is because of you don't want a position like for instance like Rook G3, and then you're kind of stuck having to. It's kind of hard because this pawn on H3 is going to fall. It's going to fall. Simple as that. Um, which is pretty sad to say, but like if he moves his rook to f1, then you got bishop captures h3, and then you gotta think if he takes, not only is he taking this pawn, but he's gonna take this pawn f3 as well, and then this will leave this pawn. Once this pawn is taken out, a pass pawn or whatever. So it's pretty dangerous. So all right, so rook h2. Because you don't want your rook to be in pin, especially if the rook want to double up and stuff. You don't want this rook on here being pinned. So that's one of the principles. Don't put your rook where you can get pinned, potentially pinned. So that's one of them. So rook g3 is played. H4 is played. rook g8 is played. The whole plan of this is to not only double up on his file with the double on rooks, but in order to make it even more powerful, you gotta get this g pawn out the way. So what best to do that is to push g5 and then g4 and then eventually get that out. So now black's position is gonna be powerful with two double rooks. It's like double artillery. Get double artillery is more damage. All right, so king e2 is played. All right, just defending, um, overprotecting the f3 file and everything, but also is also like once he puts g5 or whatever, he can move his own rook over if he needs to defend over here. So gotta think of these things. G5, ace capture g5, ace capture g5, then king f2, and then g4. Great move, great move, great move, great move. Why is this a great move? Cause after like I said, if the pawn takes or whatever, then we have the ability to go rook captures on g4, and now we have the double rooks on this file or whatever, and we could potentially start taking the bishop on g2, but that's only if this rook on a2 is out the way. But we want to keep the pressure, or not the pressure, well, yeah, the pressure, and we also want to keep the tension to have the rook on this file or to stay there. So white try to do something by going rook h5, but that doesn't really do anything because now we get the black king in the center of the board, which is actually very great. And this is the type of position you want. And like I said, this pawn is about to be gone so that we can have this double side or double artillery rook on the same G file, as you can see, and it becomes powerful. But these are the type of positions that you want. So rook b1 check, king c3, which is an awesome move because now he's really infiltrating the white's king. He's trying to take on b3, ready to take off the pawns and stuff. So now rook h2 or h7, actually rook h7, he's threatening the bishop on d7. But then because of the powerful rook on the g file, we just go e captures f3. Simple as that. Obviously, you don't want white to go rook captures d7 because of rook captures d7 check. And then if the king takes and everything, then this actually would be pretty bad for him actually, because then we still got king captures on b3. I mean, he could take this off. Still got here. And if he comes here, he still got the check. If he goes king f6, still have this. This is winning. This is like winning for black. I just believe this is winning for black. This pawn about to fall. This pawn about to fall. This pawn definitely about to fall. And if black played this right, black will win. All right, so he catches f3, and this is another thing, y'all. If bishop catches f3, you don't want to do that because we got rook catches f3. And then if the king takes, we got bishop catches g4, he takes, and bishop captures on d1, and black is winning after that. Because he's up a bishop, and the bishop on a light squares because crazy part because all his pawns is on a light square. It's all the more reason why black is going to win because he has a light square bishop, and these light square bishop is going to easily eat up these pawns on the light squares. So yeah, black is he's good to go on that, which is why the bishop on f1 didn't take. All right, so king c2, awesome move. Getting that rook out the way, trying to. So rook d3, and then bishop h3. The whole point of bishop h3 is if the bishop takes, the king could take the rook on d3. So that is the trick. Or even if it was this way, rook captures. It doesn't matter. We'll just capture the rook. And the bishop's kind of forced to take the rook. Then we take king catches d3. And another blunder is if he can't take this pawn because of rook g3 check, and we win this bishop. But that's all because of this dark. This is what I'm telling you. Y'all get a lot of. There's a lot of tactics and opportunities when you have your rook on double on his fouls and stuff. Then you start to see tactics start to come. That's why you follow these principles. Things will come to you. You won't even have to remember certain principles. It'll come to you if you um just follow the principles of getting the rook on the same file. This all goes back to what does that do that created the my system? Aaron Nizovich. So this all goes back to the principle of having your rook on that strong file with the double rooks. I'm telling you, works wonders. All right, so let's go back, y'all. Oh, I went too far, y'all. All right, so rook d3 is played, bishop h3, like we just said, and then rook catches f3. Rook catches f3 is played. So rook catches f3, check. He takes. Bishop catches f1. But let's actually go back real quick. So rook d3, bishop h3. So the question becomes why did he um why did he sack the rook on f3? Things like that. Why is that? You know. So we're going to show you why. So even the engine says rook catches f3. So you're probably thinking like um I don't know, why not king d4? Well, in this position, it's not going to matter because after bishop captures on f1, if the king takes, then we have king c3. The rook can go d1 and everything, but then we have this check, and then this rook is lost. So I wanted to show y'all personally what the engine was thinking, but I'm just telling y'all principles. It'll still relate even to what the computer is saying. So I just wanted to let y'all know that. But the whole reason. But let's go back. I want y'all to really understand this though. And the whole reason why this bishop h3 was just such a good move is because now this bishop is the only one defending this rook on d3. And the fact that because the king is so active in this square, it limited the rook from going anywhere or whatever. It just really forced him. So and then the thing is, y'all, we're technically forcing to take, not really forced, but because we have an advantage, we're threatened to take this bishop out of there. Like we're threatening to take this light square bishop, and then we're gonna automatically take this rook. So obviously in his mind, he's probably like, well, I need my light square bishop, so you know, I'm gonna just do that. But rook catches f3 check, he takes, bishop catches f3, which really didn't matter. He was gonna lose. He was gonna lose something. So, which is what happened. But after rook captures c7, rook f8, as you can see, we still have this pass pawn, and that's another rule, y'all. When you're in an end game, you want to put your rook behind a pass pawn and not, you know, on top of your pawns, where you stop it from promoting. You want to put your rook on behind the pawns, as always. So rook d7, all white trying to do is eat up the pawns in black center. But in this position, we go. He'll go king d3. Rook catches d6, and then bishop e2 check. So as you see, because we have this bishop, we're already about to promote this pawn. Just look at the king already. He goes king f2, he go f3, right? So now rook a6. Now you're probably thinking, why not rook catches b6? Well, if you go rook catches b6, you do have rook g8, in which we're threatening checkmate. Which is why if you go rook f6, then you have this move, um, king, what you call it, king e1, and then f2, and then if the rook catches, we don't take this rook, we're going to check because this bishop is guarding that. And then if rook f1, then we got rook f1 checkmate. So pretty neat, right? So that's another like I said, that's another thing that y'all can actually an end game thing that y'all can look at. Did y'all ever got a position like this? Just think about it. If he takes this pawn, this is an automatic win. Um, this is an automatic win for black. So rook f6, rook g2, f2, he takes rook, and then checkmate. All right. So then after rook g8, then you got rook h2, which is what he did. And then king captures e4, which black is just winning. Rook h4 a check, king d3, rook h2. Oh, my bad, y'all. Rook g6. Why rook g6? Rook g6 is really a waiting move, but also to prevent the pawn from promoting. Because now none of the pawns can promote because we're going to automatically take. Which is why after b4, we just take. He takes. Well, in this position, he resigned. But even if he did take or whatever, black is just going to win this position already because now we could just take this pawn and white is lost. But these are the principles, y'all. Could centralize your king. If you have an advantage, you must take the initiative to take it. And as you saw with black, all his pawns was on a dark square while he had a light square bishop. So put your pawns on the opposite side color from the bishop. So if you had a dark square bishop, you'll put your pawns on a light squares, and if you had a light square bishop, you'll put your pawns on the dark squares. But again, it also depends on the certain position that you have as well. So just use common sense and be mindful of that. All right, y'all. I hope this video helped. Please like, please share, please comment. Let me know what you think. And also, y'all, if you have any other analysis, definitely put them down there. And also, y'all, don't forget to subscribe. All right, y'all. Peace.